Good afternoon. I'm Carolyn Rye, Chair of the School Board of the City of Virginia Beach. This administrative, informal, and workshop session of this meeting of the school board is hereby convened at 4:00 p.m. on this 8th day of March 2022. It's determined physical distancing will be used as a health mitigation strategy, and therefore there'll be designated public seating. Members of the public, as always, will be able to observe this school board meeting through live streaming on vbschools.com, broadcast on VBTV channel 47, and on Zoom. It's the school board's protocol to break at 5:30 to prepare for the formal session that begins at 6 o'clock. At 5:30, the board will conclude this session unless the school board votes to continue until 5:45, at which time we would have to conclude to allow the board and administration to prepare for the formal session to follow. With that, Madam Clerk, will you please announce those school board members in attendance?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Present in school board chambers is Chairwoman Rye, Ms. Melnick, Ms. Anderson, Ms. Felton, Ms. Franklin, Ms. Hughes, and Ms. Manning.
Thank you. We have two board members on the way, reportedly on the way, Mrs. Holtz and Mrs. Riggs. Mrs. Weems is absent due to personal health matter. So that brings us to administrative matters and reports. Any board members have anything to report? Okay, I'll just go ahead and mention that with respect to Read Across America, SeaTac Elementary, last week had quite an event going for the day, and at least half of the school board members wound up coming in at different times during the day to read to the students, and it was just a very positive atmosphere, lots of good activity there. So thanks to the other board members who were able to participate. All right, then we'll get right to our workshop matters, and we begin with a Future Ready update, and we welcome Mr. Matt Delaney.
Hello. Good afternoon, Chairwoman Rye, Vice Chair Melnick, members of the board, and Dr. Spence. This afternoon we'll provide you with an update connected to our strategic plan, Compass to 2025, our high school redesign goals. During the unveiling of the Strategic Action Agenda, presentations on flexible scheduling for high schools, and most recently during Dr. Banicki's presentation on navigational markers at the last school board meeting, members of the board have heard references to high school redesign and the commitment we have to developing future-ready students. So we felt the timing was appropriate to provide a more comprehensive update on the work currently taking place across our high schools and the next steps in the process. With me today is High School Redesign Coordinator Ms. Robin Hoffman, who will conduct most of the presentation. Prior to turning it over to Mrs. Hoffman, it is important to continue to share the strategy map on the slide. As you know, our school division's graduate profile located in the center of our strategy map drives much of our deeper work in the school division and is anchored in our strategic plan, Compass to 2025. By working very closely with building leaders, teachers, students, and central support staff, we know that in order to meet the goals outlined in Compass to 2025, we must consider if we have the right staff and resources to create the necessary student experiences to prepare all students to be future ready. As such, the updates you're about to receive align with our efforts to create these student experiences and will demonstrate the ways in which we are planning strategically to prepare our students to be future ready. At this time, I'll turn the presentation over to Mrs. Robin Hoffman.
Good afternoon.
Welcome, Ms. Hoffman.
Thank you. I'm excited to be with you all. So as you well know, Virginia Beach City Public Schools is recognized as a high-performing division with an on-time graduation rate that exceeds 94%. We're committed through our strategic plan to ensure that all students not only graduate on time, but also demonstrate readiness for college and career. As you also are aware, effective in 2021-2022 school year, high school accreditation ratings now include the College, Career, and Civic Readiness Index as an indicator of school quality. The index measures the extent to which students successfully complete advanced coursework, career and technical education coursework and credentialing, as well as work and service-based learning. These 4 areas represent the work we do across the state and certainly in our own division to prepare students to be life-ready or future-ready. As a Virginia graduate, life-ready graduates engage in 4 areas related to this learning: content knowledge, workplace skills, career exploration, community engagement, and civic responsibility. In addition to the CCCRI indexed, student survey data from the spring 2021 student survey, as you can see on this slide, suggests the need to do more to connect learning to the world beyond high school for our students. And I'll pause for a minute so you can indicators. So to that end, as we consider the new accreditation index as well as our student perception data, the high schools, supported through collaborative and connected work among central office support services, identified the foundational components, or as we refer to the pillars of high school redesign, that must be present and guaranteed in all schools over the next 5 years. The overarching goal is to create a personalized learning environment for all students, one that advances the school division's commitment to ensuring that every student is achieving at their maximum potential in an engaging, inspiring, and challenging work environment. In addition, this graphic represents our School Divisions of Innovation grant. And this afternoon, I'm grateful to be able to share with you an update to provide you some progress we're making in each of these 4 pillar areas. So to begin, it's very important to note that the title High School Redesign suggests that this is somehow new, when in reality, the components of redesign have been present in our schools for many years. We're very fortunate in Virginia Beach that models of excellence in each of these 4 pillars exist in our schools. What is new about the framework is we now are able to unify our experiences under the common language and the purpose of the graduate profile. In addition, the framework serves as our call to ensure that we continue to provide access and opportunities to innovative instruction, course design, and personalized learning for all students. All right, so we're going to dig into the pillars. So our first pillar is rigorous, relevant, real-world learning experiences. This pillar seeks to emphasize the transferable skills outlined in our graduate profile, as well as interdisciplinary thinking in our high schools, application to the world outside of school, and connect to student interest and future-oriented goals. This pillar aligns directly to our strategic plan Goal 1, educational excellence, as well as Goal 3, student ownership of learning. So regardless of the course, may it be biology or Spanish or construction technology or trigonometry or health and PE, we are working in our high schools to ensure that all our classrooms exhibit information in this pillar, high-quality, innovative approaches to learning. I'd like to share a couple examples of this work with you. So the first is Kempsville High School's project-based learning approach to geometry. The geometry team at Kempsville transformed their traditional geometry course into a completely project-based environment. They outlined several tasks that embedded authentic application and real-world relevancy. Projects stem from questions such as how is origami being used by NASA to deploy space sails, and where can we find this basic geometry vocabulary embedded in our process? An additional question they pursued is which Virginia Beach high schools have food deserts? Embed a map in Desmos, identify all the grocery stores, label the coordinates, and use them to draw circle equations. The teachers have evidence they've shared of significant difference in student productivity and effectiveness in comparison to their traditional classroom. A second example, as you can see in this picture on the right, is from Bayside High School, and it highlights the partnership between the Health and PE 10 course and Williams Farm Recreational Center, which hosts PE on site for students on Thursdays and Fridays. Students participate in lifeguard skills and training and fitness using the floor equipment. Students ultimately will be CPR and CPR and first aid certified, not just trained, but actually certified. And they can go through the American Red Cross lifeguard training program. Students who successfully complete that program are guaranteed employment, it's age dependent, but guaranteed employment this summer as a lifeguard either at a city pool in Virginia Beach or at one of the rec centers. In addition, students will participate in mock interviews and resume writing workshops and will present a final exhibition of learning in May at the rec center. What's critical to note about both of these examples is that neither of these scenarios requires a new course or a new allocation. Rather, it's the schools, our community partners, our students, our teachers who are supporting innovation in existing course design. So as we move into the second pillar, beyond educational excellence, a hallmark of the high school experience is for students to engage in a student-driven and adult-supported process in which students create and cultivate their own unique and information-based visions for post-secondary success. And they develop a meaningful plan to accomplish those personalized goals, which include or lead to enrollment in higher education, enlistment in military service, or plan for employment upon graduation. And you may have heard this referred to as the 3 E's, which we work off of in high schools. This process is supported through a collaboration between school counselors and teachers and is clearly articulated in the academic and career planning K-12 scope and sequence. So as you know, there are certain requirements that all high school students have to participate in. However, when we look at this pillar, we continue to offer students options as they make course and program choices based in part on their post-secondary plans, that they have an active involvement in that process. And those plans include maintaining advanced placement or dual enrollment options if they choose, having greater access to sequential electives, and that's particularly highlighted through the new flexible scheduling offerings. Participation in work-based learning experiences such as internships or job shadowing, or attending an academy program and specialty center. Our third pillar of high school redesign relates to this idea of the curation of works of substance. Works of substance are the learning experiences and the associated student work that serves as evidence of rigorous real-world and relevant learning. Substantive work challenges and supports students to excel academically and includes evidence of learning in both content as well as the transferable skills identified in our graduate profile. The goal of this pillar is for students to create a portfolio that illustrates growth and mastery of the graduate profile. We hope to have this goal achieved by 2025. So to accomplish this goal, schools have different entry points that are equally important, as you can see in this very colorful graphic on the slide. So beyond substantive work, students curate learning experiences. Curation involves the process of collecting and organizing artifacts around content and the graduate profile skills. The collection is curated through Google Drive, and in this first picture up in the center there, the first picture, you see an example of a learning artifact curated from a student at Kellam High School who also attends the Technical and Career Education Center. Using a very simple Google Doc, he's engaged in reflection where he explains how his masonry unit in his coursework, accompanied by images of his process, helped him become a more skillful problem solver. If students have the opportunity to curate in all of their classes multiple times throughout the year, 2 or 3 times, each year, they'll have access to 14 to 21 different learning artifacts that they can at some point use as evidence of their alignment to the graduate profile. In addition, students engage in sharing learning, which provides opportunities to share exemplary work or artifacts with peers, faculty, and outside audiences. They love when we have outside audiences and adults get to come in and hear what they're up to. This includes student-led conferences, digital and face-to-face exhibitions of learning, and presentations of learning. In this picture in the top right part of the screen, you'll see an example of an exhibition of learning where a student shared her learning from a psychology course with an outside audience. Like the curation of learning, sharing their learning enables students to grow in their reflective thinking, not only about what and how was learned, but about the relevancy of that learning aligned to their post-secondary plans and their future goals. Ultimately, students have a collection of learning artifacts and the language of reflection necessary to prepare and present that portfolio. For example, in this final image in the middle, or the bottom of the screen, you'll see an individualized portfolio. This was made with a Google site, which this is Virginia Beach. We're very thankful that we have one-to-one devices and access to the Google suite of tools. This is a Google site, and all of our students have access to be able to create this. In this example, the student organized her portfolio around the 3 profile elements she believed to be her strengths: resilience, personal and social responsibility, communication, and collaboration. These pages, if you link to them, if you would include learning artifacts that serve as evidence of growth, both from her coursework as well as her extracurricular and her outside experiences. That portfolio piece, it's very important that we look at all of the students' learning experiences inside and outside of the classroom. She also customized her portfolio through an interactive resume section and a section on what she titles values or habits of mind she developed through her coursework. And this page might include a transcript as well. So at this time, we're collaborating with schools to determine when and how students should create and share portfolios with an audience. Our partnership with Dr. Shoebridge's team and the ITSs, as well as Kellam, Kempsville, Princess Anne, Salem High School, and the Technical and Career Education Center, all of whom are working in this curated works of substance area, is helping us to develop a cohesive plan that includes exemplary models and will help us address potential challenges that we're going to face over the next few years, including professional development. So I'm very excited by this work. I'm happy to share it with you individually and definitely return in the future. And our final pillar seeks to ensure that all students by 2025 have an authentic community-based learning experience that culminates with a signature experience to be completed during high school and aligns to our graduate profile. To unify these experiences, students select one of three strands: career exploration, service learning, or self-development. They then engage in a three-phase process of learning that involves generating an interest-based proposal where they have the opportunity to say what and how I plan to learn. They engage in that exploration process predominantly through primary research, internships, job shadowing, interviewing, learning a new skill that they pursue on their own, civic participation, field work, service-based contribution. And then ultimately they design an artifact to share their learning enthusiastically with an audience. And we're always looking for audience members, so some of you will be able to join us in the future. These experiences are often referred to as a senior project or a capstone. However, we find that that's a very limited phrase, and so we refer to it as a signature experience, as there are multiple pathways for the signature experience, which might include a senior project in an English 12 class, as you can see in the first image on the slide. But it also may include a certification program offered through one of our specialty centers. It could be a work-based learning experiences such as an internship that you see in this middle image, students from First Colonial High School who interned in the circuit court in Virginia Beach. Or it could be participation in an AP capstone course sequence. Or it could be a final project as part of an academy program, as you see in this third image from the Brock Center. Or even in the future, we're pursuing the idea of possibility of an independent study. In addition to this process, all signature experiences are unified and engage students around the areas of self-directed learning, presentation skills, project management, and professionalism. So as is the situation with curated works of substance, our goal is for all students beginning with the class of 2025 to engage in a signature experience by graduation. Our academy programs in Virginia Beach have exemplary models of this work. In addition, the English 12 teams at Kellam High School and Salem High School offer senior projects, and we're learning a great deal from these models. Additionally, our plans developing in partnership with Dr. Sarah Lockett and the CTE team, who are committed to expanding the work-based learning as it aligns directly to this pillar, as well as our accreditation through the CCCRI index. And again, it's the partnerships with high schools that's allowing us to expand these opportunities each year for more students while we continue to develop our plan. That includes how the challenges and obstacles will be addressed in the future, including buy-in from students and parents, business and industry, college admissions, and our teaching staff. So as was shared earlier, if we want to satisfy the goals outlined in Compass to 2025, we must consider if we have the right people and resources to create the necessary student experience to prepare all students to be future ready. To that end, we must continue to evaluate our systems and processes that allow us to move this work forward. We're in the process of reviewing policy and regulations, and we may return to the board in the future in those areas. In addition, we're developing a vision of K-12 vertical articulation. What are the things that are happening in our K-8 buildings that align directly to this work and helped us to create these future-ready students? And we certainly plan, or I plan, to return to provide you with updates on our progress and to share the exemplary work of our students in schools. So at this time, we'll be happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you, and we'll begin with Mrs. Felton.
Ms. Hoffman, thank you for this detailed presentation. And I just want to say to you that I am proud of our students at Bayside High School. This was confirmed when I was attending my Park and Rec Commission meeting the other day. And they are glad that our students are participating in this program. And it's just great to see that our partnership is really being solidified by what we're doing and how we can collaborate. Thank you so much. But my question, knowing that Bayside High School is our health and science academy, wonderful. That's one thing that's great about that as well. And believe it or not, two of our parents, one at elementary at CTAC at Two Stream, students is in this program as well. And plus Mr. My goodness, the director for Parks and Recs, his daughter is in this program as well. My question to you is, how many students is in this program right now and moving forward? And will Bayside be the only school that will be participating in this lifeguard? It's wonderful because we found that we were really short on lifeguards in the rec centers, and they've had to shuffle around lifeguards from one state to another. So I'd just like to know how many students right now, and if you can answer that, and if Bayside is the only school participating.
So I cannot answer that question, but I can get those numbers for you.
Thank you.
I will contact Bayside immediately and get those numbers for you. As far as other schools, Bayside is the one school currently offering that. But that's really what high school redesign and this framework is about, and what my role is. I have an amazing role to be able to go out and learn from these different models and then come back to other schools and help them create. So certainly expansion is what we're after, including the fact that the teachers involved in this are able to share and work with other teachers. In this case, it's Jen Vetter at Bayside High School who had the brainchild for this work, and she's been sharing that extensively. But I will get you those numbers.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Mrs. Melnick.
So my biggest takeaway from your presentation was the word relevance. And I think to me that's the most important. I was a terrible math student, and so often, you would tell yourself, just get through this. You're never going to use this ever again in your life. And it was mostly geometry, and you proved me wrong. And so to see that up and to really make that relevant is remarkable. And I thank you for your vision with our students and making everything meaningful and relevant.
Interdisciplinary thinking is really a key foundational part of this work, and it's our teachers who and truly have the ideas of how to integrate, and not just to combine courses, but to follow the person across the hall. What project are you working on? How can we connect and establish that relevancy, as well as reaching out to community partners.
Okay, Mrs. Anderson.
I just want to say that your presentation is one of about this Future Ready update is one of the things, one of the pillar stones that helps to make Virginia Beach the better school system in the area. So I appreciate that. And I hope that more people will listen to this presentation about what we have to offer for our students. Thank you.
So if I missed this, I apologize, but what kind of time frame are we looking at? Because this clearly requires more teacher input or
Absolutely.
participate. I mean, just
Absolutely.
having been the parent of former academy students, and I do want to say, I think for not just academy programs, but it strikes me a lot of this has already been going on, but this kind of compartmentalizes it into a framework, right?
Right, that's exactly, yes, you are correct.
That was
So
a little
our
aside.
timeline is that 2025 is when we would like to see our goals achieved. So to be a little bit more specific, I think the first two pillars, those are happening in our classrooms currently. In fact, during the pandemic, and some of the things that we were experiencing in classrooms, those two first pillars were still achievable. And we still have, outstanding examples of rigorous, relevant, real-world learning that took place in our classrooms throughout that situation, as well as students planning for their post-secondary pursuits. The other two pillars, that's where a little bit more planning is involved, and so our goal is 2025. And again, we're working very closely, partnering with schools from inside out to say, what are the different ways that you're accomplishing this, so that we have those models to share. And as we're sharing those models, we're building out additional frameworks that I'd be happy to come back at a later date and share with you that provide a little bit more consistency for schools. We refer to those as tight loose. There are tight expectations that we hope to see by 2025, with tremendous flexibility for schools to make decisions and choices based on their community and the students within the school.
Thank you. Any other colleagues?
Okay.
All right, then we thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a wonderful night. I was going to steal them.
So that brings us to workshop item C, Canvas Learning Management System Update, and we welcome Dr. Sharon Shoebridge.
Thank you. Good evening, Chairwoman Rye and Vice Chair Melnick, school board members, and Dr. Spence. I would just like to ask that the next time I present, I don't follow Robin Hoffman, if that would be okay with all of you. The intent of this presentation is twofold. We would like to provide additional information regarding how Virginia Beach City Public Schools will move forward with the learning management system, Canvas, and how teachers will access curriculum in response to teacher feedback. With me tonight is Dr. Lorena Kelly, Executive Director of Elementary Teaching and Learning, and Miss Angie Siders, Executive Director of Secondary Teaching and Learning. Oh, I'm in control. In an effort to provide as much information as possible, but also as briefly as possible, we wanted to share a brief history of the learning management system use in Virginia Beach City Public Schools to date. So in 2010, there we go, we made our first attempt with elementary science. And we loaded all of elementary science into SchoolNet, and it was not successful, which is okay. But it gave us a lot of feedback. It was immediately evident that this was not working, and schools shared their concerns both with their principals, school leadership, and the superintendent during teacher forum. And what happened is the science team at elementary went out on feedback loops. We visited every elementary school to understand what they needed, how it could be better. One of the changes that were quickly made was the number of clicks to find something. I'm sure you've heard that before. They still had to print out work for students, and there was no training prior to implementation. In 2014, we did an RFP for the next learning management system, which was then piloted in the digital anchor schools. The idea of this was a one-stop shop, a place to house not only the curriculum, but a place to assign work for students and a place to assess learning. While no company offered these at the time, Schoology made the best effort to demonstrate how they could. Weekly meetings with the teams from Department of Teaching and Learning, Planning, Innovation, and Accountability, school leadership, and the Department of Technology began. Digital anchor schools were asked to pilot Schoology during the 16-17 school year, and all other schools were given opportunities over the next 3 years to engage with the management system at their comfort level. In 2019, PowerSchool acquired Schoology to add to their unified solutions for schools. One of the benefits reported during this merger was the strength of PowerSchool's products and their ability to assist Schoology in updating their IMS Global certifications. I'm going to take you down a rabbit hole for a minute, but it's important to understand IMS Global certifications matter, especially when working with online text resources. Currently, our vendors, and you have approved several online text resources, most of those vendors will not integrate with Schoology. And what happens is they basically give us a flash drive of the textbook. Versus vendors working with Canvas, it is a live textbook. So any updates or changes made to the textbook are already and readily available for our students. It also integrates where a teacher can seamlessly assign textbook resources to the student. We don't have that capability in Schoology. In addition, in 2020-21, the state identified Canvas as their learning management system and offered for any school division in the state that wanted to utilize Canvas, they were providing it free for 5 years. This was year 1 of those 5 years. In 2021, PowerSchool informed our team that they were encouraging end users to consider their other platform as a learning management system, moving us away from Schoology. In addition, they notified us that the assessment platform we use, which is called AMP, will no longer be supported after this school year. In the fall of this year, we had 7 schools begin the process of piloting Canvas to give us feedback and information about how that works, and we also began the process of moving assessments to Mastery Connect. A piece of feedback that we heard from some teachers is the look of Schoology versus Canvas for a teacher's course, and a concern there'll be limitations. I wanted to share an example of a teacher's course page in Schoology. As you can see, this is a teacher's course in Schoology, and this is a teacher's course page in Canvas. There are many similarities between the two courses. The colorful graphics with links, a running menu bar on the left, are similar in both Canvas and Schoology. In Canvas, there are additional links to course pages and menu options on the right side that list assignments that are coming, as well as a link to the course calendar, course notifications, and if any feedback has been given on assignments, it would appear on the right menu bar. It has been reported by all of our pilot schools that for students this was a seamless transition, and it was the teachers that needed the support. I say that, there's a smile under my mask. I wanted to share information about Mastery Connect, which is our assessment management system. So after Schoology shared that they will not be supporting the AMP platform after this year, we knew we had to make some decisions so that we weren't left with a product that wasn't working, which wouldn't support our teachers. Mastery Connect is part of the Instructure company and complements Canvas. On this previous slide, I don't know if you can see the red circle, but right off of that page is the Mastery Connect link. So our teachers and students can go right from their Canvas page into Mastery Connect. The heaviest lift to move questions from the item banks in AMP to Mastery Connect will be lifted by teaching and learning. We want teachers to be ready to go in September, and we don't want that additional burden over them to feel like this is something they are going to have to do. So we're already working with hiring some teachers or some retired teachers to work with us to make those adjustments for us. In addition, we have customized a course called Growing with Canvas that the Virtual Virginia and the Department of Education puts out in Virginia. We made modifications based on ITS and LMS feedback, as well as teaching and learning staff who took the course earlier in the year. This course has recently been shared for all teachers to access. Pilot schools who participated in the course either did it asynchronously or they had training. Our principals and ITSs from the pilot schools recently met with all of the principals and shared that their planning and the implementation they outlined, they gave a variety of samples from asynchronous to small group to one-on-one strategies to support schools. And the benefit we had was that we had a lot of teachers requesting the course. So we had ITSs in non-pilot schools begin to work in small groups with teachers to engage with those who are ready to start. I want to share just a brief piece about how we access curriculum. An important piece of feedback we received was where and how curriculum was made available for teachers. When we started this year using the model we currently had with Schoology, we loaded all of the curriculum units into Canvas. And this made it very cumbersome for teachers to navigate. Members of the elementary teaching and learning team met early and often with our pilot schools to collect feedback. One of the biggest takeaways was that our curriculum documents were actually Google documents. And instead of creating a folder structure that required multiple clicks, members of teaching and learning began to organize curriculum into what we're calling landing pages, accessible via Google. So if I'm a classroom teacher in elementary, here is my landing page for curriculum. Benefit of this page is if I'm a coach and I work in all grade levels, I don't have to be part of a group. I don't have to go to multiple files or multiple documents. It's off of one landing page. I can bookmark this page, and I can go in and out of any content area that I need to. If I'm an administrator, I now have access to all of my teachers' curriculum, again, without having to go to multiple places. If I'm a teacher and I teach math in 3rd grade, and I see a student is struggling with some concept taught in 2nd grade, I can go into the 2nd grade math and see if I can find resources to support that student. Once you click on a subject area, so this is grade 4 language arts, all of the material that is listed on this landing page is inside what the teachers currently see in their Schoology folders. So there isn't anything we've taken away. We've just made it that they're linking directly to the Google document instead of having to go through 10 folder structures to get to the final document. And again, we've received feedback on this from both pilot and non-pilot schools. In secondary, we set it up very similarly. We are trying to keep alignment from K-12. Pre-K-12, actually, we have pre-K organizing this way as well. So here are all the content courses in secondary. Now, of course, you know at secondary we had to break it a little differently. So these are all of math. There's multiple courses in math. It isn't just by grade level. But still, we tried to keep the structure the same. So if you went into Advanced Math 6, the structure and organization is the same. We include Virginia Department of Education resources. We include SOLs. We include guides to plan, teach, assess, as well as all of the units of study. So I talked a little earlier about some teacher feedback. One of the big questions was, does the organization of the course landing page make sense? And the organization of it was critical. It wasn't about the material that was linked on it, because that hasn't changed. It was just, is this organized for you to be able to find what you need? We had 80, I even have my glasses on and I can't see that number this way. 88%, thank you. 88% of our teachers found this course page much easier to navigate, both, and that includes both responses from secondary and elementary. It was easier to access the links instead of the ton of clicks. It appears to cover the content I regularly require, and its centralized format. Again, we liked the idea of no matter what you taught, you could access curriculum from multiple levels. One person shared that the people that said no, the 11%, it wasn't that it didn't find it, that it made sense. They were looking for more information. They requested some additional things to be added to the page. So I felt good about that, because it's easier for us to put things on that's missing versus if we don't have the organization the way they need it. So finally, I just want to share next steps for us. In June and August, we will be hosting Camp Canvas. But wait, there's s'mores. And that's going to be an opportunity for teachers to, we'll have multiple pathways. So there'll be a lane of, I haven't done anything with this yet, so I need walk through all of the modules, or I've gone through all the modules, I'm looking on how to integrate some different activities, or I've done A and B and really looking for how do I enhance the engagement my students have with the learning management system. We're very excited about those opportunities. A principal packet memo went out on February 17th that opened up the course for teachers. So we do have some schools that have started where teachers are ready to go. So there are some schools that are doing very small group optional choice sessions on teachers that are interested in being prepared for next year. The final thing I'll share is that Dr. Din, I've given you a new degree. Mr. Din and I are working with Schoology. One of the concerns we had is our goal is for teachers not to spend the summer being worried about what it's going to look like next year. And we didn't want them to feel like they had to spend their whole summer getting everything out of Schoology. So we're working right now, and we have discussions in place with Schoology to maintain access through next year, but only for teachers. Students will not be rostered in Canvas, and it will not be a platform we utilize for student-teacher interaction, but to have it accessible for teachers to be able to still get in if they're like, I really loved that activity I did last October. I wish I still had access. So we are in the process of working with Schoology. I will happily answer any questions that you all might have.
Thank you, and we'll begin with Mrs. Hughes.
Thank you. I do realize, obviously, when you roll out something new, some are apprehensive, some are excited. So I'm happy to hear that the feedback is largely positive, and based on this, it sounds like it streamlines some of what they were doing before?
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
that's
and that's
good.
some of our goal too, and especially with Dr. Kelly and Ms. Siders and their teammates really looking to respond to students and how do we streamline that. This is sort of a next step in making that, so a teacher's looking for something, this is what we're recommending and it's right there for teachers.
Oh, good. So my only other thing, and I didn't see this part addressed one way or the other, is this kind of a one-to-one trade for Schoology? I'm kind of,
No, it's.
teachers talk about some things being kind of duplicative. Does this help cut some of that out as well?
Yes, so there's a couple of things in what you asked. It isn't an exact Schoology to Canvas, it doesn't mirror. But the idea is the one-stop shop teachers were going into this, and this to just get to the same place. Now it's just going to your Google to find what you're looking for and you can load it
Okay,
into the LMS.
good. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else, colleagues? So the pilot program served its purpose
Yes,
of
we're very excited.
of taking a closer look, and anytime
If-
anything branches out to more people, whatever the case study might be, there's always new information, right? And
We've actually learned a lot as well. We created at the very beginning in the summer, but wait, there's more. That was my tagline because Matt Callahan and my team, every time we looked at what we were looking for in Schoology, when we opened it in Canvas, it was there. And I was like, but wait, there's more, as I kept saying that. So we created a document of this is what was in Schoology and here's what it is in Canvas. And even since then, we need to update that because we've learned more over the course of the year of even more tools and resources that live in Canvas that we don't have currently. So we're very excited about the rollout. We've had very good feedback from our ITSs and LMSs about the interest that their teachers have. And while I know there's going to be apprehension or hesitancy, we are in teaching and learning doing our very best to mitigate a lot of those concerns for teachers and take some of that lift off of them.
all right, Mrs. Riggs.
I just want to thank you. I'm really excited about this too, because as a teacher, we all know, oh God, there's another program we've got to learn, especially with the technology and computers and all that. Even for the computer savvy, it's very hard. So what we've been able to do, what you guys have been able to do with Canvas and what Canvas can do is I know what especially the elementary teachers have been begging and asking for several years. And that was the one-click thing.
Yes.
So just what you're being able to do and being able to, you and Mr. Den working with Schoology to see if they can keep that for a year, the access to that is just so important because I know that's another. So you guys are really in tune to what the teachers have asked you. And it's very, very obvious with your presentation that that's happening. So you're going to be, I think, overwhelmed with the amount of teachers that are going to want to take this little course this summer, this camp course this summer, because everybody wants to be first to do it. So thank you so much. I really appreciate all that you guys are doing with this.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, we have Mrs. Melnick and Mrs. Franklin.
And I think it's important to mention also that the next seamless transition could be for students going on to Virginia colleges and universities, as that is the platform they use as well.
Yes, and that was one of our reasons. So last spring, when the state made that determination and looking at all of the avenues of what Canvas could offer, all of our community colleges use Canvas, 100% of them. And then most of our post-secondary schools are also using Canvas. So as the students this is an opportunity to prepare them for, now
Yes.
again, kids are a little more easygoing and seamless than we are. So kids probably would have adapted whether or not, but it's nice to know we're giving some foundation.
Yeah, no, it's good. Thank you.
Okay, Mrs. Franklin.
I just wanted to, it sounds great. I just thought that I remembered when we were talking about the flexible scheduling that there were some concerns about having to learn a new system along with having to incorporate flexible scheduling next year. Was there a conversation about some kind of delay, or is this going to be implemented in the 22-23 school year?
This is going to be implemented in the 22-23 school year.
Okay. So was I wrong in remembering that there were some concerns about having to progress with both at the same time, or?
I'll be honest, I was not aware there was a concern, so I see Dr.
There
Rogers
was,
shaking
right?
his head.
Okay.
I've been very focused
But-
on going forward, so.
No, it sounds great, but I can we just address some of those concerns?
Yes, ma'am. There were some concerns about having the opportunity to do campus as well as shift to the different schedule. And I think Dr. Saltner made an analogy relative to changing a different cell phone to that respect. And we are very cognizant of the fact that we will have two different things that our students and staff will have to focus on, which is one of the reasons why we spent so much time in making sure that we involve teachers in getting input from them and addressing their concerns and making sure that we have both the Schoology platform as well as Canvas platform available simultaneously and providing training ahead of the beginning of the school year.
Okay, so, and I just wanted to make sure that people are aware that they're gonna still have the Schoology as well, to make sure that they can
Certainly.
seamlessly go into the next year. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, we thank you very much. So we are in an unusual situation, but that does conclude our workshop. And colleagues, there is no closed session tonight that we can transition into. So we will be reconvening in chambers at 6 o'clock for our formal meeting, and this workshop is adjourned.